For the past 2 months, I've been on a mission to save money and eat healthier, so I've started cooking all my meals at home and taking my lunch to work every day. I work in an office with an open layout. We each have our own cubicles, but it's spacious enough that it doesn't feel cramped like some other offices I've worked in. Things were going great until about 2 weeks ago when something strange started happening. Someone began stealing my lunch. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake. My lunch containers are always clearly labeled with my name and extension, so I figured that whoever took it must have realized their mistake and wouldn't do it again. But then, it kept happening. Day after day, my carefully prepared lunches would disappear, leaving me without food and forced to spend extra money to grab something from a nearby restaurant. I was frustrated but tried to stay calm. I even left a polite note on my lunch one day, hoping that would put an end to it. What really set me off, though, was the audacity of the thief. Not only did they keep stealing my food, but they washed out my containers and left a thank you note. It was almost like they were mocking me, knowing full well I'd figure out my lunch was gone, but trying to spin it like they were doing me a favor. I wrote a mass email to the office asking people not to take food that isn't theirs, thinking maybe a general reminder would stop the madness. No luck. The lunches kept vanishing. At that point, I started talking to a few colleagues to see if this was happening to anyone else. Turns out it was a known issue. There were a couple of lunch pirates in the office who had no shame in swiping someone's meal from the communal fridge. One of my co-workers who'd been through the same ordeal gave me some advice. She told me that the only way to protect your food was to keep it at your desk. She had a big lunch pail with ice packs in her cubicle, hidden from view so no one could sneak off with her lunch. I took her advice and ran with it. I bought a large insulated lunch pail and packed it with those blue ice blocks to keep everything cold. I found a little nook in my cubicle where I could hang it under my sweater and hide it from sight. Problem solved, or so I thought. Today I went to heat up my lunch like usual. I was really looking forward to it. I had made this amazing pasta with roasted vegetables and a side of salad that I'd been dreaming about since the night before. As I was standing by the microwave waiting for my food to heat, a co-worker who I don't really know well, we're in different departments, walked up to me and struck up a conversation. She asked if I had come in late that day because she hadn't seen my lunch in the fridge. I explained that I now keep my lunch in my cubicle because I was sick of people stealing it. That's when things took a weird turn. As soon as I mentioned keeping my lunch at my desk, her face changed. She looked a little uncomfortable and I started to get the feeling something was off. When the microwave pinged and I took my food out, she put a styrofoam plate down next to me and said, "Well, you can split your lunch with me because I don't have any." I was floored. I just stared at her, trying to process what she had said. Then it hit me. This was the person who'd been taking my lunches. I asked her point blank, "Were you the one stealing my lunch?" She had the nerve to respond, "I didn't steal it. I borrowed it." "Borrowed?" I repeated, absolutely dumbfounded. "So when are you planning to pay me back?" "I'm not welfare. If you didn't bring your lunch, you can go buy something. We're in the middle of downtown. There's a restaurant on every corner. I work hard just like you, and I'm not sharing. Period." I could see she was taken aback by how direct I was, but I didn't care at that point. She had been stealing my food for weeks, and now she expected me to give her more just because she didn't bring her own? No way. I grabbed my food, closed the container, and headed back to my cubicle. On the way, I decided enough was enough. I was going to report her to HR. She called me selfish as I walked away, but I wasn't about to let her guilt trip me for not enabling her entitlement. I turned around and told her, "You're an entitled thief, and I'm letting everyone know." After reporting her to HR, I also looped in my manager and hers, making sure everyone knew what had been going on. Later that day, I got a couple of emails from people I didn't even know saying I shouldn't have reported her because I didn't know her situation. That set me off even more. I shot back an email saying that neither they nor the co-worker knew situation. And honestly, I didn't care what situation she was in. If you're wearing Tom Ford pumps to work, you can afford to buy your own lunch. Since then, some co-workers have given me side glances or muttered that I was too harsh. But I don't feel bad about it. I'm tired of people thinking it's okay to take advantage of others and then trying to play the victim when they get called out. So, am I the asshole for reporting her to HR and not sharing my lunch? And am I wrong for keeping my food in my cubicle instead of the fridge? What would you do? Let me know in the comments.